no one handed me a teaching career. It all happened on the go with one, why not at a time. In this video, I'm sharing the full story of how I became the Foley teacher from the very beginning. Let's go. My name is Bastian Gerner. Today I'm a senior Foley artist with more than 15 years of professional experience. Started out in the field as a sound effects editor, dialogue editor, progressed into becoming a re-recording mixer, but then changed into becoming a Foley artist, which I did for the last 10 years straight. 5 years on linear media, then 5 years on video games working at Ubisoft on titles like Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora and Assassin's Creed Nexus VR. Now I'm self-employed in my own studio, working on both linear media and video games and teaching the craft of Foley to everyone who's interested and wants to up their game, record better sounds and get to higher quality results. The first time of me saying something like, sounds like fun when it comes to teaching was in around 2019 when I started out at Ubisoft. I had to move from Berlin to Düsseldorf for that job. Düsseldorf was not the city of my choice. I loved Berlin and I was there since 2006 already. So after 13 years I had to leave my beloved city, and then starting out at Ubisoft I met great people. One of them is Pierre-Marie Blind, who was a junior sound designer or audio designer, how we call them at Ubisoft, and he was totally into Foley as well. He actually applied also for that senior Foley artist position that I landed then, but as he was a junior, it didn't really match. However, he had a great taste and talent for Foley. So we collaborated a lot on the games he was working directly in the Foley stage. He joined me, and this was always a great experience to collaborate with him because he has that Foley energy around him and comes up with intuitive ideas, and that sparked my creativity and brought me to better and better results. So working with someone like Pierre-Marie is really great and I can recommend this guy. He was introduced to an opportunity to teach Foley at SAE Berlin. They were looking for a workshop kind of thing. As he wasn't really interested, he asked me if I want to do it. So I said, sounds like fun. And that's how I ended up giving my first workshop in Berlin at the SAE Institute, which turned out to be a really great experience. And I could also visit my beloved city Berlin again. It was January 2020. I was happy to be back, and then welcomed by the head instructor audio Steffen Köhler back at that time. I was informed very early on that we cannot do the workshop in any of the studios because there was a water leakage problem. The only room available was a lounge called the gaming room. This was just a hangout space with a couple of sofas and PlayStation and TVs and whatnot, but it was not a treated room. So the goal was to bring in all my equipment, the same amount of gear and props and stuff that I brought as I was applying at Ubisoft. And there's a whole video about how I landed the job at Ubisoft. If you want to have a look, there's a link. And exact same amount of stuff I brought to that workshop. So my whole rack with my outboard gear, my iMac, my microphones, my modular surfaces that I also talk in other videos about, and which is the fundament for everyone who wants to learn Foley. Build those modular surfaces yourself. And I have many one-on-one coaches that did that already successfully. I teach that in the Foley Guild, and people are building those in there and get my guidance on it. So if you are interested in building your own Foley surfaces, get the link in the description and check the free manuals that I put together in many hours to give you an easy access to those modular surfaces that really are a game changer. If you build those and you put Silomer underneath, that is a foam that decouples them from your main room, you can record great stuff in your edit suite or home studio. I was there in the gaming room. This was just a normal environment, like a living room, and a big one as well. So pretty difficult to record decent results in there. And we ended up doing groups of 6 people joining a 2 or 3 hour workshop with me. And then we started in the first group, we started to place everything, to install everything, to wire everything, calibrate everything. So really doing the work from scratch. And then we had some issues even with my interface. It kind of resetted itself, and it was really in the settings that you have to configure when you first use it, like how much impedance you have on the preamps and whatever. So this was all happening there. And then the second group, we adjusted further. Everyone was allowed to perform actual footsteps on that modular surface. I really love that experience, that people get engaged with the craft, get that room also into a space where we can actually create professional results with a bit of trick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was also a really enjoyable thing for me because that's my background, where I'm coming from. I never worked in a proper Foley stage. I worked always in ADR studios or non-ideal rooms. At Ubisoft, I only had a recording booth of 11 square meters even, which was also challenging to come up with really dry results. That's what you need when you work in game audio, you know that. This first experience was kind of a full circle moment, like all the things that I did previously kind of compounded into that teaching experience, and to see so many faces light up, everyone getting their hands dirty and coming to results really quickly with people who did it for the first time was so rewarding for me that even though it was very draining, that experience, having 3 workshops every day, 3 hours or 2.5 hours each, just a little break in between. And I was exhausted, but I was really, really happy. And that's how I really caught passion for this whole teaching thing. If you are coming to Gamescom in 2026, mark the Saturday, 29th of August, because I'm hosting a free game audio barbecue here at my place in the studio. Next to it is a garden, so we can have a great barbecue session and get a little workshop done in the studio. I did this last year. It was a great success and I want to continue this. So if you're interested in coming, again, it's for free. Just DM me on Instagram or LinkedIn or write a comment. I'm interested, as we can now also chat here on YouTube. Then I can get back to you and you can join a WhatsApp group of people who are coming, and there I will share all the details. So if that's for you, make sure to get in touch with me, telling me that you want to come, and I'm happy to have you here at my place at the 29th of August 2026 Game Audio Barbecue. After that first successful approach of teaching Foley to audio students, I continued doing so, first only at SAE Berlin. I traveled back in summer and did the same thing again, that time in the mixing studio with a big S6 console, and then we put the Foley station in the corner of that room. There it showed that if you only have a stone that is very pingy, you cannot do a thing. You actually need the surface with concrete around and a stone that is non-resonant. And from there onwards, I also was offered to teach Foley online. When COVID hit, I did that for the whole DACH region, Austria, Switzerland, Germany. Did that for a couple of years actually. And then other opportunities came along. For example, through working at Ubisoft, I was introduced to Cologne Game Lab, and then I started a workshop there, which led me to teach there for a couple of years actually game students that are non-audio related, so programmers and artists. That was also interesting. And as I am very practical in my approach of teaching, I wanted to help them with the sounds they needed for their semester projects. So rather going from the beginning and talking about sine waves and what is an EQ and stuff like that, I helped them practically with their projects. And we used this small studio that they have at Cologne Game Lab to record sounds in there, same procedure. And that was also great fun. Nowadays, I'm teaching on my own terms in my community called the Foley Guild. Way before the Foley Guild, there was a development towards that. I started out, I think, late 2022 with one-on-one coaching, helping people to build their modular surfaces, to help them while they are setting up their DAW and their template, placing the mics, getting the sound dialed in their room with their abilities of performance, helping them to adjust everything to get to proper results within a 6-week program. And I did that successfully with around 10 people. And I definitely made my first 10K within that 1 year, up until, let's say, late 2023. Then I thought, how can I help more people? Then I started to think more in terms of a community. In late 2024, I had that idea of founding Pro Audio Academy. And the goal was not only to help people with the Foley station and setting up a modular system in their edit suite or home studio, it was broader. I wanted to help everyone who wants in on the audio industry to actually achieve this. I thought I can use all the knowledge that I gathered throughout those 15 years, and I started a series of 3-4 webinars in January 2024 explaining what I'm about to do, and then I found 10 beta testers that started Pro Audio Academy together with me. And I want to thank everyone who did this. We spent 1 year together, and I shared as much as possible, not with a real curriculum, but in weekly sessions, and everyone could post their weekly results, and we had even challenges run by Paul Renard, shoutouts, who was initially starting this with me. Over time, I realized, actually, I want to go back to that first initial concept of helping people getting the Foley done themselves. DIY Foley, but also helping people to really become a Foley artist if they have the investment of lifetime into this. I'm willing to be a mentor for those people. And I want to help sound designers to do more Foley, to record more unique sounds, and to do also challenging recordings in their home studio environment, which usually people don't do because the floor is giving too much resonance back, and it's really difficult to record impact sounds or stuff like footsteps in a home studio, let's say. And even in a room studio, it's very difficult. So not having a Foley stage is an issue for most people. And as I developed all my Foley skills in those type of rooms, I feel like I have this unique skill set that I simply want to share with as much people as possible. And that's why I stopped Pro Audio Academy after that 1 year with those 10 beta testers. A few came on along this year. Now it's the Foley Guild. Let me tell you a little bit more in detail what we do in there. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do me that favor and click on that button now. It's a free thing that actually helps me to do this work, to get further with this, and to become better and better with this. And I give you that promise that I will do my everything to come up with better videos, to come up with clearer instructions, and to share all the things that I know with you on this channel. So do me the favor. That is for free. Hit the subscribe button now. People that enter get real guidance from me, same as in the one-on-one coaching, so very personalized. You get feedback on how you build your surfaces in a group chat or in a one-on-one coaching session that is also available in the elite tier of the Foley Guild. You can have those weekly sessions with me in the standard tier. There you can ask your questions. I give weekly inputs on certain specific topics regarding Foley in all the manners. So it's from building your surfaces to operating a studio to business advice, advertising, networking, social media, all the things related to actually also monetize on Foley services or incorporating it into your work is kind of covered in those weekly sessions. And for the basic tier, which is available for already $79 per quarter, you get a weekly Q&A and hands-on session where I also help people and record stuff for their projects, and they can ask their questions. And also in the basic tier, you have access to a forum where you can post your work, you can get your feedback, you can show your progress on building the surfaces, or if you work on a project, you can post in there, and then people get back to you with feedback. I get back to you with feedback. Everyone can reach me in the DMs, and I'm very responsive there. So the Foley Guild is basically the scaled version of the one-on-one coaching, giving access to more people. And I designed it in a way that everyone can participate no matter what kind of budget you have. Because I know people from Nepal who do full-time Foley and only earn $200 per month. And I wanted to create something for them as well. So the basic tier anchors there. It's $79 per quarter. There's even a discount code that comes with my newsletter. And there you can get 50% on your first purchase. So that can be a quarter, it can be a full year. So that makes it really accessible for people. You can join for $100 for the whole year almost. Yeah, $125 and you're in for the whole year. And then the standard tier comes at $250 per quarter, and therefore you get the weekly sessions, you get more direct access to me, you can ask me questions weekly. You get that weekly input that is also recorded, so you can watch whatever whenever you can or want, and you have access to that whole vault of sessions. And then there's the elite tier, which is then on top a monthly one-on-one with me and a quarterly custom challenge to where you are currently at. The price tag for that is also very low. It's less than my one-on-one coaching, and you get my assistance for a whole year instead of 6 weeks. So I really try to come up with the best possible way in order to give this knowledge out to as many people as possible. Of course, in my content, there's also a lot to learn, and many people come back to me and giving me that feedback that they learned a lot throughout the last couple of years that I'm doing this, and that's genuinely appreciated. Thank you very much for giving me that feedback. It means a lot. And everyone who wants to go further and deeper and actually really make a difference for themselves when it comes to those sound effects and Foley recordings, then consider joining the Foley Guild, and I'm sure there is a tier that applies to your needs and to your budget. Having said that, let's wrap up this video. Big shout out to everyone who gave me a chance to teach at certain institutions, from SAE Berlin, SAE Cologne, Cologne Game Lab, also universities internationally that invited me to talk and to introduce Foley to their students. I really appreciate it. And everyone who actually joined one of my coachings or mentoring sessions, I really appreciate you, and I hope I could deliver something valuable and meaningful to your daily life as a sound designer or professional sound artist. So if you feel that you need this, and this would add not only to your career but also to your craft and to the excellence that you have in your craft, then feel welcome to join the Foley Guild, or DM me on Instagram, ask your questions there, contact me on LinkedIn, join one of my workshops that are happening. There is one in July happening in Südtirol, Italy, in a place called Basis Finchgau, and there are details in the description. There is another workshop happening in 2026 in October in Sardinia. A link will follow soon. And there might be also a workshop coming up in Cape Town in November 2026. So check the links in the description. I put the free manuals there. There's a link to get more information about the Foley Guild and to join if you want. And other than that, enjoy one of the next videos, and I hope I could fill in some gaps of that story of me becoming the Foley teacher. I couldn't have done it without you, so thank you very much for following along. And if you have remarks or questions, please put them in the comments. I read everything, and I'm very eager and keen and interested in what you have to say. So please comment and I'll get back to you. Peace, the Foley teacher.